I remember when I hired my first ever employee, right? She was a basketball coach, gave her a good wage, great training program. I checked in with her. I thought she was going to be with me for a very long time. And then one day she pulls me aside and says to me, Emile, just want to let you know I'm going to be resigning next week. I thank you for everything that you've done, but I'm going to be moving on to a different position. And my heart dropped because I poured in so much energy into this employee. I felt betrayed. I felt like there was no loyalty, and I've learnt a lot since then. In this video, I'm going to be covering the lessons I wish I knew before I hired my first employee so that you can get value from this. Let's get into the video. Lesson number 1, uno. Every employee has an expiry date. As a business owner, don't think your employees are going to be there forever. They all got an expiry date. Some are going to stay longer, some are going to stay shorter. And you need to know that. A lot of business owners, when somebody resigns on them, they get caught off guard. They didn't know this person was looking for something else. They didn't know they were leaving. And you need to make sure that you're prepared for this. If your business relies on A-plus talent, superstar employees, you're in big trouble. You know why? Superstars demand a high pay, and when they walk out, they take their clients with them. So you want to make sure that when you're building a business or joining a franchise, it's not dependable on superstar talent. You want to build systems that your employees can follow so that when an employee leaves, they just come back, a new one comes in and they follow the system that you have. And I'll give you a great example. Kumon, tutoring company here in Australia, they have 13 and 14-year-olds tutor kids, right, that are about 9 or 10. They do this because they have a template that the tutor follows and is so easy that anybody can do that. So they're able to get cheap labor, right, because the kids are younger, and they're able to train many, many tutors by just having the PDF walk them through what they need to do. I'll give you another example. The other day I was speaking to my mum. She used to run salon businesses back in the day, and she told me, Emile, that hairdresser was so popular. Everybody would line up to see that hairdresser. You know what happened? That hairdresser left, went to start his own business, and all the clients left. And I was stuck with the problem now of having no business and no revenue because they all went for that hairdresser. So just be very careful. If your business relies on A-plus talent, on superstar employees, you might be in a little bit of a pickle. But always remember, every employee in your company has an expiry date. Learning lesson number 2, don't fall for the gift of the gab. During an interview process, an employee is going to talk themselves up, right? They've done this, they've got this experience, this is why I'm suitable for the job. That's the whole purpose of an interview. They're here to sell themselves to the job, right? But a lot of the times we can get all that information and think, oh my God, they're going to be amazing. They come on board as an employee and it didn't work out. They weren't performing well, right? It's the gift of the gab. So what I like to do is when I'm interviewing someone, yes, I go through all those criteria, but I look at performance as an employee. What is their track record when I've hired them? That is the indicator of their performance. And I'll give you a really great example. We hired a marketing manager to take care of all of our marketing. During the interview process, this person's done 30 years. They've worked for all these companies. They spoke about leads, their marketing strategy. All of it sounded really good. But guess what? 2 months into coming into the franchise, we had a problem. They weren't responding to our franchisees. They were ignoring franchisee messages. They weren't giving any dashboards for the franchisees to see their results. Franchisees weren't happy. So this person spoke, talk, I can do this, They came in and we had to end our agreement 3 months in. So just remember, be careful of the gift of the gab. Always look at a person's track record once they're in your company. Learning lesson number 3, make sure you clearly define what success looks like. If you're an employee and you're coming into the company, you want to know, am I doing a good job or am I not doing a good job? The employee needs to know what success looks like in their role. I played a basketball game on last Wednesday. I lost by 1 point. Do you know how I know I lost? I looked at the scoreboard. One team was 43, we were 42. It was clear that we lost. And that's what you need to have for your employees, a scorecard that shows them these are the key metrics that you own as an employee, and this is what success looks like. Recently, we had to let go of one of our team members in head office. And we reflected on, why it didn't work out for this gentleman. And we realized that, oh my goodness, we didn't have a scorecard set up to know whether this person was doing a right job or not. It was all gut feeling. And as a business owner, you want to eliminate gut feel and emotional feel. And you want to make decisions purely on data because data never lies. So you want to set up what we call a scorecard. And if you haven't read the book Traction by Gino Wickman, he's got a chapter there on how to build a scorecard, which is the key metrics that drive the key important metrics in your business. Make sure each one of your employees, from the day they sign up, have a scorecard that shows them how they're performing as a business owner. Within 5 minutes, you should be able to see, are they doing a good job or are they not doing a good job? Just quickly, if you want to see if there's an available territory to own a Little Boomers basketball franchise in, click the link below to our map and see if there's a location near you. For example, let's say you're a business owner and you've just hired a new marketing agency. On the scorecard that you have to see whether the agency is doing a good job, you might have number of leads generated per week, how much those leads costed you, ad spend versus budget, website traffic month over month, lead quality score. Because if they're giving you all these leads, but they're rubbish leads and you're calling them and it's dead phones, well, that's not good. So you might have a lead quality score there. But the main point is, if you're hiring someone, set up a scorecard of the 3 to 5 metrics that are the most important metrics, and that employee owns those metrics. Let's move over to the next point. Learning lesson number 4. And boy, did this take me a long time to learn. Your job is to coach your employees, not to be their best friend. I remember when I was hiring my team and expanding my team, I wanted to be friends with all my coaches. I wanted to personally get to know them, be there for them, form a close relationship, which is good. But guess what? You know what the problem is with that? When it came time to having tough conversations, it was really, really hard for me to have tough conversations with them because we formed a friendship. I now realize, as an employer, as a business owner, my job is not to be friends with all my employees. In fact, when you're trying to build a high performance team, guess what? People aren't going to be happy with some of the standards you have. They're not going to like your rules. But my job now, I've realized as a business owner, is to coach people to reach their potential, to coach them through the challenges, not to be their best friend. And I'll tell you something on this. High performers hate special treatment. If you're an employer and you're letting some of your low performers slide, you're letting them get away with things, high performers hate that and they'll soon be out of your business. As a coach, I've got 3 words that I now do. I praise people when they're meeting standards or exceeding standards. I praise them and I recognize them. I reinforce the standard that I have in my company. I continuously talk about the standards we have, and I correct people that are not meeting the standard. If they're below the bar, if they're not meeting the standards, I have a conversation to correct them so they can come above the bar. So always remember, reinforce the standards, praise when they're meeting the standards, and correct when they're not meeting the standards. And learning lesson number 5, your team will rise to the level of standards that you set as a business owner or a franchise owner. The other day, I held a live workshop with our franchisees, which is how to build a high-performing coaching team that can run without you. Unfortunately, being a business owner, one of the tough things that some of our franchisees struggle with is having those crucial conversations when standards aren't being met. And I gave them a framework that they can use when they're having those tough conversations. And if you think that you're not going to have those tough conversations, you're delusional. As a business owner, if you've set standards, your job as an owner is to make sure people are meeting and exceeding those standards. And if they're not, you have to have that tough conversation. And we gave them a framework to use. You can watch that video. We might link it below. Have a watch of it and let me know what you think. But just remember, the number one thing that drives performance is the standards you have. If you have low standards, you're going to have low performance. If you have high standards, your people will rise to those level of standards. And by the way, if you're wondering, Emile, that's awesome. How do I build those standards? I'll give you a couple of key points from that workshop. Number 1, define what excellence looks like in the role. Number 2, write it down. These are what high standards look like. For example, showing up 10 minutes beforehand. Whatever your standards are, write them down. This is pretty much your holy grail of what you're willing to accept and what you're not willing to accept. Number 3, embed your standards into your onboarding procedure. Once you've written down your standards, your holy grail of what you will accept and what you won't accept, embed it into your onboarding procedure so that your employees know what the standards are and what you are to expect of them. And then the next thing is, once you've got your level of standards and your employees know what your standards are, you do 3 things. You reinforce the standards, you praise when people are meeting them, and you correct them when they're not meeting them. And that's how you build a high-performance coaching team. And that brings us to the end of the video of the lessons that I've learned that I wish I knew before hiring my first employee. Remember lesson number 1, every employee has an expiry date. Make sure you're building systems that anybody can use so that if somebody leaves, you can bring somebody in straight away and they learn from the system. Learning lesson number 2, don't fall for the gift of the gab. When somebody becomes an employee, when you bring them into your company, they now have a track record. Use that track record, not what they spoke about in the interview. Lesson number 3, clearly define what success looks like in the role. Make sure each employee has a scorecard that you give them. Lesson number 4, your job is to coach them, not be your best friend or not be their best friend. And learning lesson number 5, your team will rise or fall to the standards that you set. So set a high standards and hold people accountable. Guys, if you got value from the video, give it a like, subscribe to our channel. We drop a new episode every Friday. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.